Well, hi, welcome again to a reading through of St. Paul's Epistle to the Romans. I got up to chapter 12, verse 9. Hey agape and hypokritos. Now, I think Paul means here a kind of imperative, so we don't get a verb here again. So I think it's something like, let love be without hypocrisy. So it's alpha privative, linking nous and hypokritos, hypocrisy. So let love be without hypocrisy. This is a two-termination adjective because it's a compound, so despite the ending it is feminine. Apostuguntes to poneron, kolomenon menoi to agatho, te Philadelphia es allelus, philostogoi, me time allelus pro egumenoi, te spude me ok neroi, te pneumati tiontes to curio duluontes, te elpidi chirontes, te thlipse hypomenontes, te prosuke proscarteruntes, tais creas ton hagion koinonuntes, ten philoxian diocontes. Fairly long sentence here. So apostugio, stugio is to hate. Apo, it's sort of almost turning away in hatred from, but it's apostuguntes, something like hating that which is evil, that which is bad, poneros. And this is from kolao. It's cognate with our English word collage, but via French. And kolao means to glue, to stick. So this, I think, is a present passive. So it's literally being glued to that which is good. So often translated as having attached yourself to the good. And then te Philadelphia as allelus, philostogoi. Interesting word. It's an adjective. It only occurs in the Septuagint in 4 Maccabees. It's from philos, and stergo is the root. Stergo means to love. One of the words for love. It doesn't occur in the New Testament in that form, but it's connected with that root. So it means loving, being loving, or loving towards one another by love of the brethren, so with brotherly love. So loving with respect to one another with brotherly love, literally. Pro egumenoi, well, it either means outdoing, or it could mean putting someone else before you, so esteeming. Again, our commentaries will say more about it, but it's so it's either outdoing one another in honor, or esteeming one another, holding one another in high esteem, in honor. Time, you can translate that as, rather than honor, as esteem. So holding one another in high esteem might be one translation of it. And again, we've got may with no verb here, so it's something like do not be shrinking. This is an adjective here, okneros. There is a verb okneo, to shrink back from someone, from something, and this means, so it's here has the sense of shirking here, I think. So do not be shirkers in respect of zeal, spude, keenness, or zeal. So in other words, not shrinking in your zeal. And now, so we've had adjectives here, and now we get a participle. Tseontes, often translated as fervent in spirit, but the verb tseo is the verb meaning to boil, as in boiling water. And so it's quite strong. It's being fervent in spirit. So it's a very strong word. It's metaphorically used here, but The root meaning is to boil, so boiling over with the spirit. To kurio juliuontes, serving the Lord. Variant readings here as well. Te elpidi kairontes, rejoicing in hope. Hupomenontes, another participle, remaining steadfast in tribulation, thlipse, dated from thlipsis. Proskarterio, this is a very New Testament-y word. It turns up quite a few times in the New Testament. It means to persevere. So it's persevering in prayer. And another participle here, sharing in the needs, it's taking a dative, sharing in the needs of the saints. And diakontes, pursuing, can mean persecute, but this is not the meaning here. It's pursuing, chasing after, philoxenia. This is a word, abstract noun, meaning hospitality. It's kindness to strangers. Xenos is a word for a stranger. So it's pursuing hospitality. Eulogete tus diokontas, in brackets humas, eulogeti kaime kat araste. Bless those, now this does mean persecuting. It's interesting, he uses dioko here in the sense of, seeking or chasing after, pursuing, I should say, and this means pursuing in a bad sense, persecuting. So bless those persecuting you, and bless, these are imperatives, bless and do not curse, from katura amai. There's an old word, ara, meaning a curse, and katura amai is the verb to curse. Interesting verse 14. It does have overtones with the Gospels. If you look up Mark 5:44 or Luke 8:26, for example, you get similar messages in the statements of Jesus. Kairein meta kairontone, kleien meta kleiontone. Now, this is an infinitive. These are infinitives here. You probably, well, it's not clear what was going on in Paul's mind here. He may have assumed something like day, it is necessary, plus an infinitive. But it's just possible that, as happens in early Greek, you get in Homer, you quite often get infinitives in place of imperatives. Now, is he using that particular? You don't get it much in later Greek. In fact, I don't think I've seen it in the New Testament. But he may have in mind here this old idiom of using infinitives for imperatives, or he may simply be thinking it is necessary to. But anyway, the meaning is clear. I'll take these as infinitives for imperatives. So rejoice with those rejoicing, weep with those weeping, from Clio. To auto es alelus phronuntes, me ta hupsala phronuntes alatois tapenois sun apagominoi. So thinking, and here it is just thinking, I think, so thinking the same thing among one another. Me ta, not thinking the highbrow things, perhaps. So not thinking high things. He does use this expression here elsewhere in the sense of do not be conceited. So not being arrogant, not being conceited, but sun ap agominoi, from sun plus apo plus ago. Sun ago is to gather. So gathering together with, or perhaps associating with, tois tepanois, the humble. So associating or accommodating with the humble. Kai me, Me genes the phronimoi par hiautois. We've had that phrase before, so this certainly is to think highly in regard to yourselves. So in other words, again, do not become conceited. I think this is generally rendered. So do not think, well, beyond yourselves perhaps. Do not become conceited. Made any kakon anti-kaku apodidontes, pro noumenoi kala enopion pantone anthropone. So apodidontes, giving back, so repaying evil in return for evil to nobody. So repaying nobody evil for evil. Pro noumenoi, something like having regard for, it's literally thinking beforehand, but I think it's often rendered as just having regard for kala, good things, literally before or in the face of all men. Many paraphrases of this, but that's what it literally is, having regard for good things in the face of or before all men. Aidunaton to ex humone, metapanton anthropone, a renuantes. If possible, and this is parenthetic here, to ex humone, it's idiomatic for the thing from you. In other words, as far as it depends on you. I think this is idiomatic. So if possible, as far as it depends on you, making peace with all mankind, from renuo. Erene, of course, is peace, and this is just the verb formed from that. Me hiatus ek dicuntes agapeatoi, aladoti topon te orge, gegraptai ga, and we have a quotation, emoi ek dicasis, ego ant apodoso lege curios. Ek dicio is to get revenge. So we have the word avenge in English. So not avenging yourselves. I think it's heautus is often used for the plural, whether it's second or third person. So not avenging yourselves, beloved, but literally give place to anger. We say in English, give way to anger. Gegraptai ga, for it is written, emoi ek dicasis. This is the abstract noun formed from the verb ek dicio. Ek dicasis, vengeance. So vengeance is for me. In other words, vengeance is mine. I will repay. From ant, apo, and didymai. We've had that verb and various other things connected to it before in this letter. So vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahweh. Ala ean pena ho ekthrosu, psomis diauton, ean dipsa potis diauton, tutuga poion, anthrakas puros, soruses epitane kephalain autu. Now, of course, we had a quotation here, a number of quotations from, this one's from Leviticus 19:18, and we get quotations from Deuteronomy 32:35, and then from Psalm 25:21 to 22. So, but if your enemy, pena, this is just a present from penao, an alpha contract verb. If your enemy is hungry, this is a late verb, I think, psomisti auton. In modern Greek, psomi is the word for bread, and psomos is word for bread in slightly later Greek. Artos is one of the other words for bread, but you also get this that word, and now you're getting a verb formed from that, psomizdo, to give someone bread. So just a general word to feed. So if your enemy is hungry, feed him. Ayan dipsa, another alpha contract verb, dipsao, cognate with our term dipsomaniac. So if he is thirsty, potisdi auton, another one of these isdo verbs. The pot here is connected with pino. Potidzo in classical Greek is normally reserved for watering animals, but obviously as time's gone on, the word is being used more generally in the Septuagint here. It literally means water him, so give him water. So if he is thirsty, give him water. For doing this, where's the verb? Here we are, soruses. There's a noun soros, which means a heap or a pile of something, and they formed a verb, soruo, from that. So, so doing this, you will pile anthrakas puros, the coals of fire, epitane, kephalain, autou, on his head. So for doing this, you will heap coals of fire upon his head. These are quotations, of course, from the Old Testament. Me niko hupota tu kaku alanika ento agatho to kakon. Now be careful here, this looks like just a first person contract from nikao. It's got the same form, in fact, but it is in fact a second person, not first, second person, singular, passive, imperative. So the ending would have been, it's nika with an alpha, and the ending is u for the imperative, and the alpha plus the u all contracts to an omega. So that's very tricky there. And that's why we've got the hupo for the agent here. So it's you do not be conquered. So it's an imperative. You do not be conquered by evil, but nika, that is the active imperative, conquer evil, ento agatho, with good. This is a nice example of en with the meaning of with or by means of. It doesn't just mean in biblical Greek. So do not be conquered, do not be defeated, do not be conquered by evil, but conquer the evil thing with the good. And that is the end of chapter 12.